Today we're going to be talking about what's coming up in the April wave release for the Power Platform. It'd be good to get some hints, tips, and understand what's coming so you're all prepared. My name's Tim Ratcliffe. I'm one of the account managers here, and I'm going to pass over to Tom now, one of our consultants.
Good morning, all. Hi, I'm Tom Smith, one of the Dynamics 365 consultants here at Enhance. And yes, as Tim just mentioned, the purpose of this webinar today is to walk through the Power Platform release wave 1. I'll get the agenda on the screen now. So I'm going to be talking through a few of the new features for Power Apps around both Model Driven and Canvas. A couple of things around Power Automate, some general governance and administration features as well. So one around security and some around the new admin center. And then finally finishing off with a couple of items around Copilot Studio. Now I know Copilot Studio may be new to a few people, so one of the features is kind of like an introduction into it, which I thought would be quite useful to talk through on this webinar. And then another one is a really kind of showing you what the product can do. Throughout this as well, so the slides have got screenshots and information about the overview of the feature and the benefits for it as well. And I am also going to attempt to do some live demos of a couple of these things because we do have them enabled within test environments. Some of these are available for yourselves to enable in your own test environments. You can actually start to have a play around and see what the features look like. So keeping with the theme, as mentioned about Copilot Studio, a lot of the new features that we're getting as part of this release wave do focus around Copilot and obviously generative AI and how that's starting to become more and more involved and embedded within the applications. The first one really here to talk about is the Copilot visualizations. So what we are getting as part of this wave release is a new icon within any kind of table view. So that is the visualize button, as you can see in the top right screenshot. And essentially what this will do is this will generate you a Dynamics 365 chart within the view based on the current view that you're within. So if you've filtered down data and then you want to visualize that within a chart, you can use the visualization button, which will generate it for you. Now, what we can find with this feature is that the charts themselves are a bit more dynamic, so you can play around with the filters, and then that will update the charts as you click around, as you update the view itself. So if you change the filters on the view, that will update the chart that generates as well. Another thing that we get as part of this as well is a generate explanations. So the visual that does get generated, there is an option to explain this as well. So if you want to copy that out and get some PDFs of the information with an explanation, there's an ability for that as well. So this is something that went into public preview at the start of the year. So like I say, you can start to play around with this within your test environments. This is something as well that has to be enabled by admins. So within the Power Platform Admin Center, there is a new toggle within the features where you enable this, and then this will become available. As it is a preview feature, and as with many of these preview features, they are not for production use as of yet. So it's worthwhile putting them in your dev or test environments and just having a play around. And obviously, once they become generally available, that's when the idea is to then enable them for production use. For this one as well, it does become generally available from October this year, so a little bit later in the year. But if I just move to our demo environment and then go into this view here, so like I say, we've got the option in the top right here to visualize. So if I was to select this now, it will generate the chart on the left-hand side. And as with a couple of things, it does take a few seconds or whatnot to kick in. And I'm hoping the demo gods are with me. Let's give that a second or two to generate. If it doesn't work, I may have to move on. That's the only problem with some of these being test features. And there we go. I'm just getting a wait. So we'll give that a second or two. Hopefully it'll kick in. Oh, well, we'll leave that one for the time being. It may be because the view has got so much data in it. So in some cases, it's worthwhile filtering down the data. But I'll move on to the next feature. So again, sticking with the theme of Copilot. So within the last release wave back in, I believe, October, we had some new features introduced into the View UI. So we could do aggregation within a view. So we can do some of columns. We could group columns together. So sticking with that theme, the search and filtering feature within a view has been revamped. So again, we have a Copilot search. So rather than having to use the advanced filters settings within a view, we can now use the search bar and in natural language type out a filter. So within the top image here, you can see I'll put where the city equals London. And then in the bottom, you can see that it started to filter that view where the address one city equals London. And within this little icon here, we can see that the filter has been added into that view with that search criteria. And what also we do get as well is you'll notice here in the top left is we've got the custom view that it's generated with a little Copilot icon next to it, and it's also what it's doing there is giving us a potential new view that we can save as a personal view for ourselves and something obviously we can share with users. So similar to the previous feature as I mentioned, what we're getting here is a more interactive UI UX experience for yourselves. A lot easier to know kind of type out what you want to filter rather than clicking through and having to chop and change different filters. So for more advanced filters, it may you may have to do a little bit more testing, and there may be still be the need to kind of do a manual additional filter within there. But the idea is you can keep typing within that to filter down the data as well. So this one was a public preview back in November and goes generally available from next month, so not too long to wait with this one. And again, as with a lot of these features, and particularly with the Copilot based features, they are things that need to be enabled by an admin through the admin settings. I will actually move back to the test environment and see if we can at least, if I close out this one and then go into this one, wait for that to catch up. Give that a second or two just to wake up. As you can see here, we've got the search bar. You may have already seen it as well if you've enabled it within test environments. I think it's not liking me today with the live demos. It's typical. Give that a second or two. If not, we'll have to go back and I can just talk through the slides. Apologies for this. There we go. Cool. So again, the next feature that we've got, and something that I've been playing around with over the last couple of weeks, and it's a really kind of enhancement to some of the features that we've had in the past is the plan designer. What you'll see when you go into the make.powerapps portal at the moment is in the home page, there is a new toggle in the top right called Try the New Power Apps Experience. So when you enable that, that'll enable this feature on the left called Plans. And then essentially what you can do is you can start to explain, some business case or business requirements to an application, quite a complex application that would have, several tables that connect to one another. It may have some requirements for automation, so update records based on certain inputs, or generate automated messages, and also define specific security roles. So when people are using the apps, they can only see the data that is relevant to them. So the idea with the plans is you can explain that and then walk through and build out an application all within natural language. So previously within the Make portal, we had the ability to describe a single table that then enhanced into being able to generate multiple tables. So you could start to build out an ERD with how different tables connect, and also see the data model from a kind of like a Visio diagram kind of perspective. Now with the plan designer, as you'll see in the second screenshot, we can start to build out these more complex business problems and have Copilot and generative AI start to explain and generate a data model. So based on what you input, it'll start to generate the various different tables that you need with the various different fields. What you can also then see as well is you can click into the data model, and that'll pop out example data, so you can actually kind of verify everything is as it should be. You can continue through the wizard, in which it'll start to generate, for this we need a model-driven app, but also we may need a Canvas app so that users can have a mobile experience. It'll start to generate Power Automate flows, like I say, to send reminders, perform some automation in the background. So from the previous kind of features, we've moved away from just being able to generate a couple of tables to actually being able to build out fully fledged solutions. And what we have is, as we're going through this in this screenshot here, it may not be the clearest, but the plan will start to provide what it thinks it should be generated. We can then edit this as we're going through, so we can say, actually, I need it to do X, Y, and Z. I don't need it to do something else that it kind of generates, and you can actually modify that plan as you walk through it. And the idea at the end is that it will add all the components that it's generated into a single solution, so it combines everything together for that app. Or if you wanted to add it into a pre-existing solution, it will also do that as well. It's part of the kind of setup as you're going through it. And once the plan has been generated, as per the top screenshot here, you can see all of the previous plans. You can go back into these and modify the plans or review what was inputted previously. So really, again, a completely overhaul of the previous kind of assisted model for tables, and starting to see how it's actually becoming the full picture for the development of custom apps or new business requirements. So again, this one went into public preview from December last year, and it's due to go generally available from September of this year. So again, a little bit longer to wait for this to go into production use. The one thing I will say as well, like reading through the documentation, as you can imagine with some of these features, there are limitations. So it's obviously something to worthwhile if you are looking to test this, then kind of do that within, again, a UAT environment, just to confirm everything is working as you'd expect. And again, let's see if the test environment's caught up. because I've got one that I created earlier. So this is the plan here. I'm hoping this will just load up. Cool. So I can try and walk through this one at least. So on the left-hand side, you can see the business problem that I put into this. So building a smart facility management system. And what that started to do is it started to build out user scenarios. And as part of those user scenarios, it's gone a little bit slow, so apologies. It might be because I'm sharing on this webinar, so I'll give it a few seconds to catch up. But yeah, so as you can see on the left-hand side, we can scroll down the plan and you can see the different user case scenarios explaining what these people or what these roles need to perform as part of the application. And then we go into the data model. So you can see that it suggested we need a person table, and then the person table is then split into the 3 user roles. Now, as I was testing this, the data model did generate me 3 tables for the 3 different type of people. So an employees table, facility managers table, and a maintenance technician. Obviously, to make sure the data model it's a little bit more all-rounded through the interactive editing kind of component within here. I just suggested that those 3 tables should be a single table and that it should be split based on the employment type. And as you can see in the data model now, instead of creating 3 different tables for those, we have the persons table. And if we were to go into the data model, I'll pop this out, we've got the person, and then we've got the employment type as well. So we can actually see how all of these tables that it's generated connect. We can see the fields that it's recommended. We can also, like I say, click into this and view the data, and then that will show you the example data for this and the different kind of fields and what it kind of looks like, so you can start to visualize that as well. The next step of the plan in which it will go through, as I mentioned, is generating your app. So here it's recommended we need a facility management app, and it's also generated some recommendations for Power Automate flows. So auto assign maintenance based on when we receive a request. Send an equipment issue notification when something's been assigned. So as you can see, it's not just the table and the data model, it's starting to build out that full solution. And on the left-hand side as well, you can actually then see the objects it's created within that solution. So at the moment, we've just got the plan, and we should then have the tables once we've committed that. So at the point in which I've got through this plan, I've not yet committed anything. It's still being generated. But once that's all saved, we would see the tables, we would see the apps, and we would see flows and how all that kind of connects together. And then we also have the plan as well. That's the record that has kind of built all of this. So going on to the next feature. So moving over to Power Automate now. Something within the new designer that started again at the start of the year, so from Jan, is building expressions with Copilot. I'm not too sure if it's the most clearest on the screen at the moment, but essentially when you're in the new modern designer or even in the classic designer, as we're configuring an expression within the Power Automate flow, we now have the inbuilt create an expression with Copilot. So again, some of these features are more, I suppose, native now to other products. So, for example, in Canvas apps, that's part, I think it was October's release wave, or potentially the start of last year's wave. We had the introduction of using Copilot to help with expressions for Canvas apps. So again, we're getting that as part of the Power Automate maker experience. And what this can be used for, which is really beneficial, is if we've got pre-existing expressions, we can try and refine those to make them more simple. Or if an expression has failed, we can input it's failing due to this reason. Can you suggest me why this is occurring? So it can be used as both to generate a new expression for the flow, or to kind of use as a troubleshooting assistant, or even just modifications to existing expressions. So again, just building that kind of assistant throughout all of the products. So for this one, it will become generally available from May, so a couple of months. And again, this is one that we will see automatically enabled for us within the new designer. So sticking with Power Automate, so last year we had the new automation center introduced, and a really handy feature now that we're starting to see is process mapping, which when you're within the automation center, you should see a new icon called process map. And the idea here is where you've got more complex scenarios, where you've got parent and child workflows that trigger one another, and it can be quite hard to visualize where the parent orchestration flow has then triggered several connecting child flows. The idea with the process mapping feature within the automation center is it gives you that, again, flow chart of this is the flow that's triggered. It said went down this path, triggered these child workflows. These child workflows completed in a certain amount of time, or they've failed. And the idea is on the right-hand side, you can review that process in its entirety. You can check for any bottlenecks, any child workflows that have taken too long, or to assist with troubleshooting as well. So a really handy admin feature that, again, in those more complex scenarios where we've got several different workflows that interact with one another, we can now visualize that in its entirety. So this one will be in public preview by the end of this month. So it's something I haven't seen in the Power Automate Center at the moment. It is something that is automatically enabled from the documentation, so we should just see it, and then it will become generally available from September this year. Cool. So moving on to the next one, we've got kind of like a rebranding of a feature that was, I suppose, around for a little while, but more in a preview state. And now it's kind of in the point in which it's ready to go live. They're nearly at that point. And these are Power Effects functions. So previously they were called low-code Dataverse plugins, and they kind of replace the classic workflow actions slash kind of simplify some plugin logic by using Power Effects. On the first screenshot, you can see, so when we're in the Maker portal, we can go into the automations, go into functions and create a new function from there. And then the idea on the right-hand side is we can then use Power Effects within the formula to create reusable functions that can be called through Canvas apps. It can be called through a custom page. Power Automate flows can be used to kind of input the variables and for it to generate an output for us. The idea with the Power Effects functions, again, they work similar to how a native plugin would work, and they would run server side, so it can increase the performance for the running of those functions. The idea, let me move over actually to my test environment again, and I can show you, hopefully, if it doesn't slow down, is the functions tab can be added within the Maker portal. So on the left-hand side, we can come into here and pin this to the left. So you can see within here, I've now got all of the functions. We've already got some pre-existing functions, but if I pop out the designer, and if I just do a very simple calculator. So if I do this to multiply two numbers, just to kind of show you how to kind of build it. And also what I like about this as well is that once the function has been created, the portal then gives you a testing functionality, so you can actually then go and test the function without actually using it with any other objects within, like say the Canvas apps or Power Automate. So let's put this. You then got the area to input to parameters, so the inputs of what we're putting into the function, and then the outputs of what we expect. So if I just do X and then put the data type for the input parameters, so let's put this as a number, so as a decimal, and then Y, and then the output would be Z, so again a decimal number. What we've got here is then to reference it against tables. So if we want to make sure it's relevant to certain tables and we only accept data from those tables, we can then link that from here. So you can see all the tables and select multiple from here. To create the formula, we'll need parentheses. I'll get that out properly, and then put the name of the results. So in this case, it would be Z, and then we want to work with our formula for this. So in this scenario, I just want to times these two together, and then save this. So give that a few seconds to save, and then that'll add that within the functions pane here. As per the screenshots in the PowerPoint, they can be created within a solution, and obviously creating it through the solution will give it the relevant schema name as well. So if I click on here, you've got the new calc, and then there's an option within here to test this. So this will pop out the test wizard, and then if I just put two numbers in here, example, display that, and then that'll run the formula and produce the response from here. So like I say, we can use this to then validate that the formula we've created is working as expected, and this is the response that we would get when we call this function. And like I say, because these are reusable, we can call these within several different areas, and start to create some more, I suppose, kind of bridging the gap with having that pro code development into more low code, and creating more reusable functions that are more efficient than other areas within the platform. Cool. Moving on to the next one. So moving into more the administration and governance. So what we've got here is being able to manage access to public system views. So really, the feature here is kind of similar to what we'd natively get within forms. So how we can make certain forms available to certain security roles. So in the screenshot, as you can see, these views here can be accessed by everyone, or we can give it to certain security roles. So really a nice little feature here to streamline your model-driven apps. So not all users can access all system views, because as you can imagine, and as you've probably experienced, is that views for certain tables, especially contacts, accounts, we can start to build up quite a lengthy backlog of system views that we want to refine. And the idea here is that, we can give people with certain security roles or who perform certain job roles to have only access to the views that are relevant to them. So this is something that was in public preview in February, so you can enable it within your test environment. It's something that has to be enabled through the org settings. So if anyone's not familiar, there is an app within the, go back on that, within the XRM toolbox, if I open it here and move this across, called org settings. And essentially the new setting for this, let me just organize this, is enable role-based system views. You have to come into this app to enable it. When it gets released, it may be something that could be enabled in a more user-friendly way, but for testing purposes now, it has to be enabled through XRM Toolbox. And once enabled, we have this experience here. So again, if I go back into the test environment, and if I go into the designer, we've got a list of views here. And what we do is we get this option up the top called view settings. And like I say, this is what we've seen in the past with forms, where we can then select certain security roles to access this. So like I say, something really handy to kind of tidy up your apps and just streamline the relevant views to certain people. And just a note as well I've added on this at the moment is just for those table list views. So where you're within your app and you select the relevant table, where you've then got associated views on a form, or where you've got them within a subgrid, they will show all views for the time being. So it won't actually like filter those down. Again, this may change when it goes available, or it may be updated in the future. I think the idea though is that, you know, within the form or within the subgrid, you can actually disable the relevant views for that form. So I think that's why that hasn't been released just as yet. So, but this again is a feature that will be going live fairly soon. So it's from April, so not too long to wait for this. So sticking with the governance administration, just something I thought kind of wrapping up two features into one is you may have seen the toggle within the Power Platform Admin Center, which is just here on my screenshot, just to enable that. That is something that will be going live fairly soon, and again, it's just to update and refresh the UI within the Power Platform Admin Center, so it's, you know, making it a bit more user friendly, a little bit more interactive when you're going through the relevant areas of the Admin Center. And something else that's been embedded within there is the Deployment Hub. So if anyone is familiar with the Power Platform pipelines, so this is the more low-code approach to deploying solutions through automated pipelines. So you can take a solution from dev, export that, publish it to UAT and production. It's more the low-code approach to the DevOps pipelines that you may have also seen or be aware of. So the idea here is this is now fully integrated in the admin center. It's not something you have to control through a certain environment. And the idea here is within the central area, you can see where pipelines have been or where you've had that, you know, solution deploy from UAT to production. You can see if it's failed and if you've got any pending approvals as well, all within that central view. Again, trying to modernize the admin center and incorporate more features within that central area. That was something that became a preview in Jan, and is something that you can see within that new admin center experience, and that'll be generally available in a couple of months' time as well. And then moving on to the last two features around Copilot. So, I mean, the feature we've got on the screen at the minute is creating custom agents from pre-built agents. So it's a fairly simplistic feature that's been introduced, but something I thought worthwhile talking about as an introduction into using Copilot. So how we've seen in other areas of the platform. So say, for example, in Power Apps, when you load the home portal, it gives you templates to, you know, start to build an app. Same with Power Automate. There's plenty of templates you can search through and, you know, start to build a flow. What we're getting here is we're getting set up templates. So in the screenshots we've got like a Save Travel agent, or you've got website Q&A, you've got case management, and the idea here is you can click on that template and use that to create a custom agent. So it's a good starting block to understand, you know, what kind of inputs you put into the description, what kind of instructions that you give the agent, what kind of prompts as well that you want the agent to use. So like I say, if you've not familiar or started to have a play around with Copilot Studio, it's something that, you know, kind of helps bridge that gap between, you know, how to set one up and, you know, just using a predefined template. And this will be available by next month. And something also worthwhile noting is that the Copilot Studio, when you sign into that, as with many things, is licensed, but you can sign up to free trial license for 60 days just to get an idea of how the technology works. The idea then is you can build and test an agent within the portal. As long as that is siloed to yourself, it's not something that you then can go and deploy and make it generally available publicly, but at least you have the option to build out an agent and then use the testing functionality to see how that works, how you can type things to the agent and see the responses to that as well. And then going on to the final feature, again, this is two features wrapped into one. So this is being able to build autonomous custom agents. And there's two features here, as I mentioned. So the first feature is a preview feature where you can add actions within a Copilot agent. So in the top screenshot here, you can see how we've got different connectors, similar to what we'd have in something like within Power Automate, where we can go and run a script in Excel, as you can see there, or where we can go and interact with Dataverse, get records, list records, update a record. We can use other connectors such as Outlook to send emails or send Teams chats. And the idea with these actions is that we can create an agent that will become fully autonomous, where it is asked certain questions, and rather than having to go and outsource to a human, you can go and perform certain actions in the background and fully become autonomous. While saying that, there is an option for these actions to have that human in the loop. So essentially, if you want to enable certain actions, so before it sends an email, it goes and confirms with an internal user that the email is generated as it should, then there's a feature there that when enabled, that you can then contact someone internally. But the idea there, like I say, is to make that agent fully autonomous. And then the second feature that wraps around that is orchestration for fully orchestrated agent behavior. So this again is another option when you're building an agent, and the idea is that you can use generative AI to combine the topics, the actions, and the knowledge sources that the agent has been fed to respond to user queries in a more natural way compared to more custom inbuilt responses. So you're getting a fully contextual agent that understands the inputs from both the person that is interacting with it, the actions within the various different several connected systems, and also the knowledge sources that you've inputted to say use these as a knowledge source. Again, these features are in preview, so the idea really is to use these in UAT environments, and again, using that trial license, you can then start to see how all these piece together. But yeah, playing around with this and looking into this, it really looks like we're starting to get further advancements with the agents. And in the second screenshot at the bottom, as kind of what you saw within the PowerFX functions, when you're customizing the actions used within the agents, we can customize the inputs, and we can also customize the outputs. We can leave a default option so that the agent responds dynamically, or we can start to customize an expected response. So in that bottom action, rather than letting the agent fully generate an email, we want it to still generate the email, but use certain inputs and outputs from the sources that we fed into it. So all of this kind of fully customizable. We can let the agent do or handle a lot of the legwork for us, or we can then start to customize and select certain actions where we want to restrict the outputs to a more set up kind of structure. And on the final slide for this as well, I was trying to mention on any of these webinars, for more information about all of the features that I've discussed, or to explore all the features that are to be released, because the release waves do have a lot more features than what I've discussed on this webinar. There is the release planner that is accessible online. So that is the URL for it, and I believe these slides will be shared after this webinar. It's a really useful site where you can search and filter for the certain different features based on the product. So you can select Power Apps, Power Automate. You can use it for the Dynamics 365 release wave as well. So yeah, really useful just to find out a bit more information. And I'll hand over back to Tim.
Thanks, Tom. That was really insightful. So thanks everyone for joining. Just before we wrap up, it's worth mentioning that we've got some future events coming up. We've got quite a lot, so we're not going to read through all of them, but please do check our website, www.mhance.com/events. Some of the key ones for me especially is our GP to Business Central Roadshow. We're going around the country talking to people who are in the situation of an end of life Great Plains and looking to the future. And we've got a lot more going on as well. So please do have a look and join us if you can. If we could just skip to the next slide, please. So yeah, as I say, thanks for listening, everyone. It's been really good to have you. If there are any questions, please do contact your account manager, or alternatively, email us at sayhello@mhance.com. Thanks again for joining, and have a good weekend.
Cheers. Thank you all.